Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up for the Shannons Club. Kenworth Trucks Australia. Pace Farm Eggs. And Holden Certified Service AC Delco Parts.
G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome as I make my way across the Motown city of Detroit here in Michigan for 2024 thanks to Shannons. Today's show, I'll be honest, I have no idea what I'm in for. One of those mystery type days, but it's good that you're coming along with me for the ride. And this week's Classic Restos, stateside. This is a place of mystery inside here. It's one of those locations that just keeps you guessing.
I am standing inside the amazing historic Fort Wayne. And yes, I have filmed here before over the years. But thanks to a fantastic contact, I'm back, and a lot of people in the past have been amazed by what they've seen inside here. But this time, it's to film something a little more in-depth, where chances are that you have never seen before. The Bubble Cars. You can search for that episode on the Shannons Club. There's a sense of eeriness inside here. Many artifacts have been residing for decades. Some one-off cars, rare cars, preserved in climate-controlled bubbles. This building was built for World War II as a quartermaster's building. That means everything from machinery to armory was brought inside here before it was shipped out. After World War II, it became a motor pool. The only reason you are seeing this is because of my long-established connection here in Detroit. Next to me here is the Mustang II concept car. It was designed as a bridge between the two-seater Mustang experimental sports car and the four-seater that went into production for 1964. This guy's always a pleasure. Dave Marchioni, how are you?
Great, Fletch. How about yourself?
Great. You're still enjoying working here?
Love it. Absolutely adore it.
If you call it work, to turn up here every day.
It's a dream job. It truly is.
It is. How do you feel? You're surrounded by so much stuff that is so incredibly rare. We're talking one-off vehicles and, even private vehicles as well that have belonged to estates that have been residing here for decades. You must always be in amazement of what you see here.
It's really kind of staggering sometimes the amount of history that I have in my hands. And we don't take it lightly that we are charged to curate this history to preserve it for the next generations. The Society's been around for 100 years, and we hope to continue another 100 of that.
Yeah. This Mustang concept car behind us, why is this not in the foyer of the Ford headquarters?
That's the $64,000 question that I don't have an answer to. This car and two others were donated to us in 1975 in a one-time donation from Ford Motor. So I don't know if maybe they found them in a corner in a warehouse and they needed to make them go away or what the logic was. But I was very excited to have them in collections, of course.
So prototype cars, concept cars, a lot of them, they were assigned to be crushed. They had to be destroyed, didn't they?
Yeah, because of insurance, most concept cars, because they weren't built as saleable units, and that's the difference between what you would in an early car, like an early production car, would be a saleable unit. A pre-production car is never designed to be given to a civilian. So they use them for testing, they use them within the company, and then they're definitely destroyed. So the fact that the three that we have missed the crusher is a pretty cool fact.
This car behind us here, leading up to the 64.5 Mustang, the only one in the world. This car right here. There is no other Mustang anywhere else on the planet. The one that was made This is it. And even between this one and the 64.5 that went into production, still quite a few subtle changes weren't there between the two. Well, like we've got a different nose cone here. The dash is slightly different. The interior is slightly different. So even though it's a concept car leading up to it, they still made quite a few changes before the saleable product.
Well, it was an opportunity for Ford to kind of do some design exercises and see what people liked. So a lot of times they would put items on pre-production cars and just kind of see how the public reacted to it. So if it was something, and you remember in 62 and 63 where the only thing we get is in person, the state fairs, and parades, which this car toured a lot of in car magazines. So this car was in a ton of the enthusiast magazines like Motor Trend of that era, so that people could kind of bounce the ideas off people. So whereas it does retain some of the character, it's still a four-seater. It's got a console that goes down the center of it, but the console goes the whole length of the car, which, of course, the actual production Mustang doesn't. So it's kind of the mix of flight of fancy and some of the things that actually made it into production.
Engine options for the year, what was available? Would it have come out with a 289 and that is it? Or were there originally options for the first Mustang?
There was every engine option for the first Mustang. You could get them with the 6, you could get them with the 260, all the way up to they started doing the K-Code 289s in 65. So the Mustang was really designed to be a little bit of everything. The engine that powers this one-of-a-kind prototype is a 289 Ford motor built by Shelby for the car. It's got two 650 Holleys on a dual quad low-rise, and if you look at the cover on the air filter, it's a fabricated piece because the aluminum piece that should be on it wouldn't fit the hood clearance.
And David, a convertible car as well.
So when this car was initially built, it was a hardtop. So it was a standard hardtop Mustang. They took it into the rotunda to have the design executives look at it. And one of the executives, it's a hardtop. We don't build hardtop show cars. So they took it back to Cars and Concepts and knocked the roof off of it. And that's what you get. That's what you see here. It's a fiberglass lift-off roof, one piece. So it's got two latches at the front. Then you pick up the roof, slide it back, and the roof comes off. In addition to that, the windshield is chopped and raked. So the windshield is a couple inches lower, and it's laid back, so it's got a more even flow to it. This car is actually a pretty significant piece of design history. I'm beside myself in the fact that it actually got saved. I said a lot of these cars would have gone to the crusher, or they would have been destroyed or taken apart and used for other things. The fact that it's saved in an unrestored and a showable condition as it sits is nothing short of amazing, really. And it's such a big piece of automotive history, particularly with this year being the 60th anniversary of the Mustang. It's been interesting having it out in public this year and watching people interact with it, and people realizing the gravity of having the car around.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network.
Your story began in 1971. It's part of an endless tapestry that tells the story of our nation. It connects innovators to artisans, forests to houses, from the largest of operations to the smallest of outcomes. It's heritage. It's a legacy.
Up next, I just have to show you this. This is a 1952 Packard Pan American, one of 6 in the world, but essentially this car is one of one. Dave, what a sensational car, complete with a little plaque there on the door, obviously, once upon a time, a man's initials.
Actually, it was the wife's initials. You know, happy wife, happy life. Happy life. So
Happy house, happy spouse.
There you go. Mrs. McCauley's initials were put on the door. I was part of the restoration team that worked on this car in '96, and I took him to a jeweler to have him cleaned, and he called me back and he said, you know, these are real, right? So those are actually real diamonds and rubies in that setting.
This car is sensational from front to back. Doesn't matter what angle you start looking at this, you kind of fall in love with it straight away. I can see other manufacturers here. This is amazing. Cadillac front bumperettes there on the bar, for example. Now, this is 52, so it's before the 300C, but I can see a Chrysler grille. I look around back, I can see Lincoln taillights. There's some inspiration there.
Well, so the front of it, with the original show car, and this car has been altered from its original show car configuration, but the egg crate grille was added in '53 to reflect the current styling of Packard. So Packard had that chrome egg crate grille, and the fins are kind of an interesting story because that fin doesn't appear until '57. And what actually happened is there was a Packard show car called the Panther. The Packard Panther got into an accident, and they took it to Detroit's Creative Industries to fix it. And to mirror the one side, they actually took a fiberglass mold of the side that wasn't wrecked and then used that to reproduce the other side. And they still had the mold at Creative Industries when this car came in to be altered again. So they splashed that mold to make the quarter panel extensions that are on this car.
It just goes to show how ahead of their time all these cars are. We've got things that were designed years ago before we saw them later on.
Sure, and you know, that's part of the thing of show cars. There's always a little bit of truth in show cars. You know, they're a styling exercise, and they want to be exciting, and they want people to see them and ooh and ah, but it's also a chance for the big three to test out some things that were not traditionally on cars.
Yeah, we can see a taillight for the first time and think, wow, what a beautiful new style. Hey, the guys in the design room, they had that 8 years ago. They were already drawing that. That was how it was.
Yeah, you never know what doesn't meet the public. And again, being in Detroit, we see a lot of things that were pieces that guys took home. You know, because if you were a designer and you spent all this time with drawings, there was a shredder at GM. And if they didn't use those drawings, everything got shredded. All the big three did it to keep your drawing secret. So a lot of the guys would sneak them home. And actually, when GM started the Heritage Collection, there was a person that came forward and said, look, they offered a period of amnesty. So if you brought them back, they would go into the Heritage Collection and they would be archived to be kept forever. And a lot of those guys brought everything right back. So they were able to save some of the really amazing stuff.
That's incredible, Dave. We look at the interior of this car, that dashboard, that's something else, isn't it? I just love that. Almost at the end of, Art Deco period had finished, but it's amazing how far a little bit of that Art Deco could still just bleed into the 50s. Yeah,
and this dash was changed from the original show car format. It's from a 55. So when Alvin McCauley had the car, he was notorious for messing with things. Anything you read about him, he liked to. So when this car was a nationally renowned show car, it was at the Tournament of Roses parade. It was at all the car shows in '52. And then he kept it as his personal car and then altered it a little bit each year. So it got altered 3 times after its show car. And that dashboard was one of the things he changed completely.
Okay, tell us the deal on this. It's 1 of 6, but essentially 1 of 1. What's happening there?
So post-war, Packard wanted to show, post-war Packards were a little bit square and dowdy. Packard wanted to do something that was different and a little bit more sporty and try and lure in the GIs that were coming home that now had all this discretionary income. So they commissioned Henny, who was their coach builder, to build a car to be a show car. So this car was actually sectioned. So 4 inches down the center of it is cut out of it, so it's got a lower profile. This is car 1 of the 6 that were built, so this is the only one that's got a chopped windshield. So again, the windshield on this has a little bit lower line of sight, and when you look at the car as an overview, it's got a long, low look to it, as opposed to a lot of the post-war stuff that was kind of big and square. So the car was so successful, they decided to build 6 of them, is kind of a study to see if they would be feasible to do as a short-run sports car. Of course, they were way too spendy for Packard to build in any amount. Of the 6 that were built, 4 were known to exist. This is the only one that's been altered this way, and it's one of 2 that had a convertible top. So this one, actually, they built a convertible top on it. Notably, the other one that had it was Richard Erbib, the gentleman who designed it for Henny, and he dated Betty Page. So if you're familiar with 50s pinup models, there's a bunch of pictures of him and Betty Page with the car at the show.
Engine up front, what powers it?
It's the standard. In some of the brochures, there was talk of supercharging. That never happened with these cars. They were your basic Packard flat 8. You know, low RPM, high torque, great motors, would run you down the expressway all day long. But yeah, mechanically, it's not very flashy. It was basically built to look pretty and function as a vehicle.
Now, Dave, you're always full of surprises. We're done here for the time being, but we still have this afternoon to go, right?
Well, as much as I like having you here and we hang out back here and look at my cars, I've got a friend that has a collection of really amazing cars that I'd love to take you to check out.
All right. Well, it sounds like we've got to go and do that.
Absolutely. I think you're going to love it.
Well, to this point of the episode, Dave, thank you.
Thanks for coming back. It's always a pleasure to see you when you're here, and I hope we continue to do this.
All right. Well, let's see what happens when you take us out the backwoods or wherever you're going to take us. So this next guy has some cars, and he's in the timber business. What has the timber business got to do with classic vehicles? Absolutely nothing. But you got to see what's going on inside here. The timber business has been kind to this guy. His name is Mel, and he collects movie cars. There's 23 in total. There's room for more. They are all replicas except the monkey's car. That's the real deal. Mel has been collecting these cars since 2008. His memorabilia is endless, so this is just some of what he has. Well, of all the different places to turn up to film classic vehicles, this is extraordinary. How are you, Mel?
I'm doing great, Fletch. Thanks for stopping by.
That's okay. Is this an extension, obviously, of we're all little kids once, but United States of America was home to all the movies and cartoon characters and themes and what have you. So that must have had a big influence on you, and it stuck with you for the rest of your life, right?
I guess so. I don't know. I just somehow caught this bug in like 2008, and that's when I really took off. So
nothing really prior to 2008. You were just working hard in your business, and then you just had a little bit of a fork in the road, a bit of a difference of change.
Yep, I collected NASCAR Hot Wheels was the thing I collected before this.
So out of the 23 vehicles you have here, what was the first one that you got a hold of?
That I still have is a 1978 Trans Am. Kind of like Smokey and the Bandit car, but not 100% accurate.
Okay, and on that note, most are replicas, all bar the monkey's car. That's the real deal, correct?
Yes, it's one of two that they made for the TV show.
How did that make you feel when you knew it was yours?
I was kind of in disbelief, but it was actually, I think I got it for a bit cheaper than I thought I was willing to go, so that worked out good.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. Okay, well, the car behind us, well, the Batmobile, that goes without saying. It's a replica car. It's a beautiful job. What can you tell us about this behind us?
I found this on eBay, and I did some restoration because it wasn't really like friendly for road driving. It ran hot and it needed to be cleaned up a little bit, but took a couple of years to get it where it is, and now it's in really good shape, and it's really a nice car. This probably gets as much, if not more, love than the Monkey Mobile when I'm driving down the road.
I spend a lot of time out here. The RT Charger's the real deal. An E49. Remember A-Charger? I've always got projects on the go, so Shannon's laid-up cover helps protect my restorations. I'm Mopar through and through. It's a passion Shannon's understands. I wouldn't insure my cars and bikes with anyone else.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. And of course, if you own a classic or two, make sure they are insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And keep in mind too that the Shannons Club awaits you. It's never been easier to become a member. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Mel, this is a place of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it here. It's so cool, and it evolves like every day.
Yeah, I've noticed too in this, because he's more than one building. There's bit of space here. You've got so much more room here as well. I don't think your journey's over yet.
No. Not yet.
You don't have to tell
I'm
you.
working on it.
You've got to try and keep it from the wife, right?
No, not at all.
So she supports you and thinks a lot of what you do.
She supports me. I don't know if she thinks a lot about what I do.
Okay, the car behind us, Mel, the Munsters car, iconic. It's a replica car, but it's done really nice. The 10 carbies there, whatever they are, Carders or Strongbergs across the top there for show, done really, really nicely. What can you tell us about this car?
This car is actually like a booby prize because I hired somebody to build me that car, and they failed miserably, and they said, how about I just do this? And this is how I ended up with this car.
And the attention to detail too, the pinstriping.
Yep, that is Gene Winfield on the window and on the fenders. He did the pinstriping.
Wow. Would this go down as one of your favourite cars here?
They're all my favorites to some degree, but yeah, this one is loud, though. Those are the real exhaust pipes there.
It's just so iconic. What an era, that gothic type of, horror era where, the Addams Family and the Munsters, 2 TV shows similar and head-to-head, but they were both written and produced just so well, weren't they?
Yeah, lots of fun.
We're on a mission from God. 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
And of course, Mel, the 74 Monaco behind us, that doesn't need any introduction, does it?
Nope, the Bluesmobile.
Yeah, you know what I like about this? I think because of the movie, that saved a lot of 74 Monacos. I think that otherwise the 74 Monaco just would have gone. No one would have cared. They would have been junked. They would have been trashed, But I think the ones that are left, which I don't think there are too many, but I think the movie has had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I looked for one for a while, and then this one, which was actually inspired by somebody that came to visit my collection, they decided to go out and build one. And then after paying storage fees for 2 or 3 years, they decided it was time to sell it. So this whole car kind of owes its existence to a visitor to this collection.
Back in 1995, I had my first flight. It was LA, back home to Sydney. And on the 747, the movie playing was, back then you didn't have the entertainment systems in behind the seats. It was one screen up the front. Everybody shared the movie. And Dumb and Dumber, it's the first time I saw it, with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. And look, to me, back in 1995, to watch that movie on the plane coming home, it was one of the funniest things that I'd seen in a long time. It was a very funny movie. I've always wondered what the shag, the carpet. What's it like when it gets wet?
It hopefully doesn't get wet.
Did you buy it like this, or did you get the van and did you do it?
I went looking for a van, and I found a van for $2,000, and then I went looking for the right color carpet, and it probably took me longer to pick out the carpet than it did to find the van. And then me and 2 buddies in 3 weekends made it.
Dad, you jumped the car 50 yards. Oh, come on, Russ. That's nothing to be proud of, Russ. Then he looks away and 50 yards. Wow, The Family Truckster, another iconic movie. Mel?
Yep, Family Vacation, National Lampoon.
Now, I'm hearing, too, that that movie has put these wagons on the map. Not so much to get one and do that to it, but just the wagons in general, even here in the United States, are starting to get, difficult to come by.
Yeah, they somehow kind of weren't the kind of car people treasured and saved, so...
It's nice that you've got the cars preserved. They're in a beautiful environment here. It's neater than some people's houses. These cars are pretty well off.
Oh, yeah. I like to take good care of them. I really don't think that they age once I get them.
That is true. I really appreciate your time today. It's been a big day, and we've had some exclusives on this episode. Dave Marchioni's played a major part in today's episode as well, and lining up yourself for this afternoon. Appreciate your time, the invitation into your buildings here, and what you've done is it's really neat. It's really neat. Your attention to detail, your memorabilia on the walls everywhere, the replica vehicles that... Everyone has a favourite movie, and I'm sure that everyone would have a favourite car here.
Yep. Yep. And mine's the Monkey Mobile.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, on that note, Mel, thank you very much.
All right, Fletch. Thank you.
Okay, you take care, and we'll catch up when we do.
Okay.
Thank you. How cool was that? What a special episode. Exclusive footage from the historical Fort Wayne with a big thanks to David Marchioni. And rounding off today's episode with Mel's super cool movie car collection. I hope you've enjoyed it. And there's more content from the United States of America coming your way on next week's show, thanks to Shannons. Until then, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch. Thanks for watching.
You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au.
Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up for the Shannons Club, Kenworth Trucks Australia, Pace Farm Eggs, and Holden Certified Service AC Delco Parts.